Today, we're going to dive into a story, and it's not about some secret indicator or a perfect strategy. Nope. It's about a trader who spent 6 long months just spinning his wheels, going absolutely nowhere, only to find out that the key to everything wasn't in his charts, but inside his own head. Let's walk through his journey because what he found is pretty powerful.
This question. Let's be honest. Every single one of us who's ever tried to do something hard has felt this. For a trader we'll call Marcus, this wasn't just a passing doubt. It was this deep, dark whisper that showed up after 6 months of pouring his heart and soul into trading for literally nothing. It's the kind of question that can totally break you. Or, as we're about to see, it can be the exact thing you need to hear to have a real breakthrough.
So this is where it all begins for Marcus. 6 months in, he's done everything you're supposed to do. He studied, he prepped, he was disciplined. And yet, there he was, right back where he started, asking himself that one soul-crushing question late at night. Okay, so take a look at this. This timeline basically lays out the whole roller coaster for us. You can see the initial high from the honeymoon effect, followed by the painful crash, and then that frustrating part where nothing seems to work. But pay attention to that break he took, because that's when everything started to change, leading to that final breakthrough. We're going to go through this step by step. So the big question is, how did it all go so wrong? Well, it started with a really deceptive first month. He got hit with something called the honeymoon effect. You know, that amazing feeling when you start something new and you just can't seem to lose? It's intoxicating. And your brain very easily mistakes that luck for skill. And this is just a brilliant way to put it. It shows exactly why all his prep work wasn't enough. I mean, you can read every book on swimming, you can watch all the videos, but the first time a real wave smacks you in the face, with your real money and your real pride on the line, you realize that theory and reality are two totally different worlds. And Marcus? Well, he was about to get hit by some very, very real waves. Now, this is fascinating, right? This slide uncovers a super common trap. Marcus would spend his weekends reviewing every losing trade. He genuinely thought he was learning, improving his system, but what was he really doing? He was acting like a lawyer for his own ego, digging up evidence for why his system was right, and the market was just being unfair or irrational. It feels like productive work, but it's really just a fancy way of lying to yourself, and it keeps you from learning anything real. And all that self-deception? Well, by the end of month 2, this is where it led him. Down 15%. I mean, not the end of the world, but it was just enough pain to push him into doing what so many struggling traders do. He made that classic, catastrophic decision to increase his position size. You know the logic. I'll just make it all back in a few big wins. It's so understandable, and it's almost always so wrong. So after hitting that wall in month 5, where he was just totally demoralized, treading water, Marcus did the single most important thing in this entire story. He stopped. He just stopped. He took a 2-week break, got completely away from the screens, and when he came back, he didn't pull up charts. He opened his journal. And there, in his own handwriting, he found the pattern. And the pattern wasn't in the market. It was in him. What he saw was wild. He realized there were basically 2 different people trading his account. There was calm Marcus, who showed up when he was rested, clear-headed, and patient. And calm Marcus, he actually made money because he just followed the plan. But then there was stressed Marcus, and he'd show up whenever Marcus was tired or frustrated or felt under pressure. And stress Marcus was a complete disaster. He was the one chasing trades, sizing up, and just making decisions based purely on emotion. And boom, that was it. That was the whole thing. He finally got it. His strategy was never the problem, as long as the right guy was executing it. The issue wasn't what was happening on the screen. It was the chaos happening between his own ears. And that realization changed everything. He stopped trying to fix the system and started trying to manage the operator. So this insight completely flipped his approach on his head. He shifted his focus from trying to trade the market to essentially trading himself. And it all boiled down to 2 incredibly simple but profound new rules. First, he simplified radically. He cut everything down to just one single setup that he knew inside and out. No more noise, no more second guessing. If that A+ setup wasn't there, he just didn't trade. Simple. Second, and this is the absolute game changer, he started a daily state check-in. Before he even thought about placing a trade, he would ask himself, honestly, how am I feeling right now? And if the answer was anything other than calm and neutral, he walked away. Full stop. He was now basically a bouncer, only letting calm Marcus into the club. And that daily check-in started to do more than just give him a yes or no for the day. It forced him to look deeper and understand who was actually showing up at the desk. He quickly realized Stressed Marcus wasn't just one guy. He was a whole crew of specific saboteurs. He managed to identify 3 distinct inner enemies who were responsible for pretty much all his losses. And giving them names, well, that was the next huge step forward.
First, there was the chaser. This guy pops up right after you miss a great trade, and he's screaming at you to jump on the next thing, anything, just so you don't feel that awful feeling of being left out. Then you've got the revenge trader. He shows up after a loss that just feels unfair, and his whole mission is to fight the market and get that money back right now. And finally, there was the hope holder. This is the one who sits on a losing trade, refusing to take the loss, just hoping and praying it'll turn around. Man, do any of those sound familiar to you?
And this, right here, is the core lesson of this whole story. The real skill wasn't in trying to destroy these feelings. That's impossible. The skill was learning to see them coming. Just that tiny moment of pause where he could ask himself, wait, is this me making this decision or is the chaser trying to grab the mouse? That little gap of self-awareness, that became his real edge, more valuable than any strategy he could ever find. So this entire mental shift forced Marcus to look back at those first 6 brutal months and see them in a totally new light. Were they just a complete failure, or was all that pain something else? He started to reframe it. It wasn't a loss, it was an education. You really have 2 ways to look at losses. You can see them as just failure. Money's gone, you got nothing for it, it's a total negative. Or you can see them as tuition. You can see it as money you paid in exchange for a critical lesson delivered directly into your central nervous system. I mean, it's one thing to read that revenge trading is bad. It's a whole other thing to feel the sting of it so many times that the lesson gets burned into your very instincts. That's what tuition buys you. So this is the question you have to ask yourself. Because from the outside, the 2 look exactly the same. Your account balance goes down either way. But if you are actively journaling, if you're identifying your mistakes, if you're learning about your inner enemies, you're not just losing, you are investing in your own experience. If you're not doing any of that, then yeah, you're just bleeding out. So think about it for a second. Where are you in this story right now? Are you in that honeymoon phase where everything's going right? If so, great, but don't mistake that luck for skill. Start building your self-awareness process now, before things get tough. Are you in that phase of total frustration? Perfect. Start a journal. Give your inner enemies a name. Or maybe you're in that dry, flat desert where nothing works. It might be time to take a real break. And if you've been at this for years with no breakthrough, you have to ask yourself this. When was the last time you studied yourself with the same focus you study the market? In the end, Marcus realized that this was the real question the market was asking him the whole time. It's not a test of how well you can read a chart. It's a test of how well you can know, manage, and be honest with yourself. And the traders who figure that out, they're the ones who get to stay. Because the market will always be here tomorrow. The real question is,